Hi everyone, welcome back to Motor City Schools TV. My name is Miss Mannering and I teach 4th grade ELA at Cypress Point University Elementary. Today we are going to be doing lesson 5 of our hurricane unit and we are going to read chapter 1 of My Louisiana Sky. So hopefully in front of you everyone has a pencil and a piece of paper. As always, if you need to pause this video or run and grab that, do so now. So yesterday in lesson 4, we created a text feature that compared 4 hurricanes in the text Surviving Hurricanes. I hope you finished that and you showed someone at home your great text feature. I know it was awesome. Today, we are going to read a text about a girl growing up in Louisiana. We are also going to learn how to describe the main character by analyzing how she reacts to events in the chapter. So now we are going to read chapter 1 of My Louisiana Sky by Kimberly Willis Holt. Before I read, I want to tell you a little bit about this story. So our main character in this story is a girl named Tiger, as you can see in this picture. Tiger is not a real girl, but this story is realistic. It could happen to someone who is living in Louisiana. This story also takes place quite a long time ago. So there are some words that they use in the story that we don't use today. For example, in our first chapter, you're going to hear the word retarded. That's a word that we do not use today, but at that time, it meant someone who might have more trouble learning in school. So again, know that that's a word that we don't use today, but you'll hear it in our story. Let's get to reading. I'm just going to read in my book, but listen closely. And as we read, I want you to pay attention to our main character, Tiger. Chapter 1. Folks around Seder don't understand why parents would name their daughter Tiger. But Daddy says it's because of love. Mama had a kitten named Tiger when she was a little girl. She loved that kitten so much, she hugged it too hard, and it died. Mama wasn't going to let that happen again. So when I was born, she was real gentle with me. Some people in Seder say Mama and Daddy should have never been allowed to get married because they're different. Folks around here call it retarded, but I like slow better. Even though Daddy got through 12 years of school, most folks say teachers felt sorry for skinny Lonnie Parker. Just passed him from grade to grade like they do some of the basketball players. Mama never went to school, but Granny taught her to read. With those kind of odds, I should be dumber than an old cow. But I'm not. In fact, my classmates' parents are still scratching their heads trying to figure out how I got straight A's and won the spelling bee 5 years in a row. It's even harder for them to believe Mama taught me to read, but she did. Mama likes reading comic books. I read about Superman and Donald Duck when I was 4. Now, Mama likes me to read to her because I can read the words that she can't. I want to stop right here and I'm going to ask you, what do we know so far about Tiger and her parents? What have we found out about Tiger and her parents just in these first few pages of the book? Well, we know that Tiger's parents are slow, as Tiger likes to call it, or maybe they are not as smart or had a harder time learning. But Tiger is very smart. It says that she has straight A's and that she even reads to her mom because she knows more words than her mom does. Let's keep on reading and find out more about Tiger and her parents. It rained every day the week after I finished 6th grade. The clouds hung low in the gray sky and raindrops poured down, hammered by our roof with constant patter. But by Saturday, the day Aunt Dory Kay came to visit from Baton Rouge, The sun came out in all its glory, and the sky returned to a brilliant blue. When we heard her car drive up near the gate, Mama ran out of the house like a little kid. She grabbed hold of Aunt Dory Kay so hard, my aunt wobbled in her high-heeled shoes. "Whoa, Karina!" Aunt Dory Kay caught her balance and smoothed her dark hair in place. "Oh, Dory Kay, I've missed you so much," Mama squeaked. She stepped back with her dirty bare feet, admiring Aunt Dory Kay from head to toe. "You're as pretty as a picture in a fancy ladies' magazine." Aunt Dory Kay was Mama's younger sister. To me, she was the most sophisticated person I'd ever known. Today she wore a tailored navy blue suit that matched her shoes, and she smelled better than the perfume counter at Penny's. She wasn't beautiful like Mama. Mama's long, dark hair fell to her shoulders, and her body curved in all the right places. But somehow, Aunt Dory Kay's flat chest and narrow hips appeared stylish in her pretty clothes. She wore more makeup than any sailor woman dared to, except the women who went to the Wing Wham Honky Tonk on Saturday nights. But while their faces looked caked on, hers looked glamorous. So we've met a new character in our story, Aunt Dory Kay, which is Tiger's mom's sister. What do we know about Aunt Dory Kay? How does Tiger feel about Aunt Dory Kay? You're right. Tiger really loves her aunt. It says here that she was as pretty as a picture in a fancy lady magazine. She looked glamorous. Tiger really admires Aunt Dory Kay and thinks she's very beautiful. Aunt Dory Kay gently cupped my chin with her hands. 12 years old. Tiger, you are growing into such a young lady. Her voice was smooth like a deep, calm lake. I wanted to drive right in and let it work magic on me, turn me into someone I wasn't. But as I looked at my reflection in her eyes, I was reminded of what I saw in the mirror. I saw Daddy. He was tall and skinny with red hair and a long neck. His narrow eyes squinted when he smiled, and his nose took up a lot of room on his face. But folks say kids change a bunch before they finish growing, especially in the summertime. In the afternoon, my best buddy, Jesse Wade Thompson, stopped by to say hello to Aunt Dory Kay. He and I were sitting in the living room floor, drinking grapettes and listening to Elvis on the radio, when we heard someone drive up. Aunt Dory Kay leaned forward, causing our tweed couch to squeak. She drew back the calico curtains. "Why, Tiger, are you expecting something from an Alexandria store?" I rushed to the window. A Michael's appliance delivery truck screeched to a stop in front of our gate. Jesse Wade and I dashed to open the screen porch door for two men carrying a bulky box. 2 weeks ago, we received a box of 24 baby chicks Granny had ordered, but this box was almost as big as our wood stove. That's a big box. I held the screen door open for the men. "Excuse me, sirs, but do you have the right house?" Brando, our one-eyed cat, leaped from the swing and pranced off the porch. The taller man with a hair lip exchanged smiles with his stocky helper. "I don't know. Whose house is this?" My breathing was hard and fast. "This is the home of Jewel Ramsey and her kin." Jewel Ramsey was my grandma. I hoped the box was for us, but I knew it had to be a mistake. They carefully lowered the heavy box onto the porch. The hair-lit man wiped sweat from his brow with his handkerchief and dug out some folded papers from his back pants pocket. He unfolded a yellow slip, then slid his fingers to the bottom of the page. "Well, let's see here. You say Jewel Ramsey and her kin? I hunched my shoulders. Yes, sir. That's what I said. He frowned and shook his head. Nope. I don't see anything that says that. My heart sank. It's probably for your family, Jesse Wade. Mr. Thompson owned a plant nursery where Daddy worked. They could afford things that came in big boxes. Jesse Wade leaned his curly black head against the doorway. We're not expecting any deliveries from Mitchell's. Aunt Dory Kay walked onto the porch while the man continued to study the papers. He frowned, shaking his head. Nope. This paper says for the family of Jewel Ramsey and Lonnie Parker. The corners of his mouth turned up into a slow grin. The older man laughed loudly and slapped his knee with his hat. Fooled ya, didn't we? My heart felt like it flew plumb out of my chest. I raised my chin and stood straight. Yes, sir. That's my grandma and daddy. Right this way, sir. Can I get you some iced tea? The men followed me inside, carrying the box. It took up so much space in our plain little room. Mama darted out of the kitchen with a half-peeled potato in her hands. This spiral peeling bounced as she ran toward the box. What is this? She asked. What's in that box? Hold on, Karina, Granny said, slowly walking behind and wiping her hands on her apron. Her black hair was pinned in its usual tight bun, but some fine locks stuck to her full face. Aunt Dory Kay stood near the window, smiling as she watched us. Daddy, returning from the garden, clopped up the porch steps. He started to walk in, then looked down at his muddy boots, backed out, and pulled them off. He walked in the house with white socks on his feet, rubbing his dirty hand across his red chin. I couldn't tell if his face was red from the sun or because two strangers stood in our house. He studied the box, then shyly peered at the men. As always, he spoke slow and cautious. What's this box doing in our house? It's for us, Daddy. The men said it was for us. The delivery man headed toward the front door. The stocky fellow tipped his hat and said, You folks have a good day. The screen door squeaked open and shut as I examined the puzzled faces in the silent room. Do you think that Tiger and her family are used to getting packages like this? I don't think so. Here it says they were puzzled faces. They were confused. And earlier in our story, Tiger was sure that this box was not for them. Tiger and her family were too poor to buy these big, nice things. Let's see what's actually in the box. I dashed out the door before the men reached their trunk. Wait a minute, sir. Who is this box from? The tall man opened the trunk door. It's on the papers we left with you. I ran back in the house and grabbed a paper stamped invoice off the box. It said Dory Kay Ramsey. Aunt Dory Kay bought it. I whipped around. Oh, thank you, Aunt Dory Kay. It was just like Christmas. She yanked gently on my long pigtail. Don't you think you better see what it is you're thanking me for? Mama's focus didn't stray from the box. Open it, she demanded. Open it, Lonnie. We all stood around Daddy while he drew his knife from his front pocket and carefully cut into the box. Cardboard sides flapped on the floor and revealed an object I had only seen in stores and Jesse Wade's living room. Dark oak surrounded the wide green screen, a brand new RCA television set. Mama jumped up and down, squealing like a baby pig. Daddy stepped back, stunned, brushing the hair from his eyes as Jesse Wade whistled approvingly. Remember, this happened in 1957, so people weren't used to having a TV then. That's why Tiger and her family are so excited. Then, as if we all planned it, everyone, except Granny and Jessie Wade, grabbed Aunt Dory Kay and hugged her until she lost her balance and fell to the couch laughing. Thank you, Aunt Dory Kay. Mama raced to the TV and stroked it like a puppy. Thank you, you're the best sister in the whole world. Daddy clasped his hands together, cleared his throat as if to begin a speech, and said, This is mighty nice of you, Dory K. Ramsey. It must have cost you a whole lot of money. Aunt Dory Kay must have made a big salary working as a secretary in Baton Rouge. Granny frowned, turned on her heels, and marched to the kitchen, her apron bow riding high over her huge hips. A hurt spread across Aunt Dory Kay's face as Granny walked away. I wondered why Granny wasn't happy like the rest of us. There weren't many families in Sater with a television set. It's a beauty, Jessie Wade said. Make sure you put a lamp on top. Mama says that helps you see better. Speaking of Mama, I better get on home. She'll be hollering for me if I don't. My eyes were so fixed on that TV, I hardly noticed him leave. Daddy plugged it in, then Aunt Dory Kay helped connect the rabbit ear antennas. When they finished, she asked, Tiger, would you like to turn on the television? Yes, ma'am. I turned the knob to the right. We waited and waited. Maybe Marlon Brando would be on TV. My knees grew weak from the thought of seeing his dreamy movie star face right in the middle of my living room. Finally, the screen lit up like magic. Soon we saw a man in black and white, like some of the movies I'd seen at the picture show. His lips moved, but we couldn't hear anything. We stood there with our mouths open, watching the man talk. Aunt Dory Kay bent down and turned another knob. The man's voice boomed from the set. And that's the news from June 1st, 1957. Everyone but Aunt Dory Kay jumped back. Granny started out of the kitchen, frowning with her hands on her hips. Volume, Aunt Dory Kay explained as she adjusted the knob that lowered the sound. Daddy and Mama exchanged puzzled glances. Then their faces smoothed out. Mama smiled and Daddy nodded with a grin. Later, the hit parade show came on. Daddy settled on the couch, clapping offbeat to the music, while Mama and I held hands and danced around the living room. Floorboards creaked as our steps thumped against the wood. Aunt Dory Kay perched from the arm of Granny's lumpy lounge chair. Her eyes glazed as if she were miles away from our living room. Every once in a while, she batted her eyelashes. While Mama and I glanced, Granny entered and sank into her chair. She stared at the TV, but a film covered her eyes like the times right before she fell asleep in church. She and Aunt Dory Kay seemed to be in worlds of their own. Then Granny spoke. Don't you have better things to spend your money on besides a noise box? Last year, when Granny learned Aunt Dory Kay hired a colored maid to clean her apartment, she'd said, That gal thinks money grows on trees. Now Aunt Dory Kay said, Oh, Ma, lots of families are buying televisions. Granny shook her head and walked back into the kitchen. Her large, lumpy hips reminded me of two fighting cats trapped in a sack. I sat down and offered a silly grin to Aunt Dory Kay. She smiled back, but her eyes looked sad. Granny's comments spoiled the gift for me, but Mama kept dancing by herself around the room. And that is the end of chapter 1. So our question is, what is Tiger's relationship with her mother? And what does this relationship reveal about Tiger's personality? Well, we know that earlier in the text, we learned that Tiger is smarter than her mom. Tiger knows more words than her mom. She can read better than her mom. So it kind of sounds like Tiger takes care of her mom in a way. This probably shows us that Tiger is caring. She's more mature than other girls her age because she's to take care of her parents. What does Tiger think of herself? Which evidence from the text supports your response? Well, I know earlier in the story, Tiger talked about how beautiful Aunt Dory Kay was. But when she talked about herself, she said she looked a lot like her dad. Here it says, her voice was smooth like a deep, calm lake. I wanted to dive right in and let it work magic on me, turn me into someone I wasn't. But as I looked at my reflection in her eyes, I was reminded of what I saw in the mirror. I saw Daddy. He was tall and skinny with thin red hair and a long neck. His narrow eyes squinted when he smiled, and his nose took up a lot of room on his face. But folks say kids change a bunch before they finish growing, especially in the summertime. It sounds to me like Tiger doesn't really like who she is, and she wants to change. I see here that she says that Aunt Dory Kay is like magic, and she wanted that magic to turn her into someone she wasn't. And then she describes that she looks like her dad. But she ends by saying, but kids change a lot over the summer. It sounds to me like Tiger wants to change. Now we are going to do a quick review of sentences and fragments. We know that sentences are complete thoughts with our subject or who or what is doing something, and the predicate, the action that they are doing. And a fragment is missing one of those things. So our directions, write S if the words form a complete sentence. Capitalize and punctuate the sentences. Write F if the words are sentence fragments. Change the fragments into complete sentences. Let's look at our first one together. Mama taught Tiger how to read. Do you think, is this a sentence or a fragment? You're right, it's a sentence. I'm now going to rewrite this by adding correct capitalization and punctuation. So I'm going to capitalize my first word, Mama. Taught. Now when I get to Tiger, I'm going to capitalize Tiger because that's a proper noun. It's the name of a character. Taught Tiger how to read. And I'm going to add my punctuation at the end. Great job. Now on your paper, I want you to do number 2 and number 3. Number 2 is Aunt Dory Kay. Number 3 is dance to the music on the television set. You're going to decide if that's a fragment or a sentence. If it's a fragment, I want you to rewrite that and turn it into a complete sentence. If it's a sentence, I want you to rewrite it and add correct capitalization and punctuation. When you're done, I want you to show this to someone at home and show them the great complete sentences that you can write. So in our lesson today, you analyzed the main character and how they responded to better understand her and her relationship with others. You also practiced writing complete sentences. Great job, you guys. Good luck writing those sentences. I'll see you next time.